across the globe. And when I'm done with my talk, I think you'll understand better why that is the most important message here. And by the way, these papers are freely available at The Lancet. They made them open access, so you can just go to the Lancet website and download them and read them for yourself. And if you have trouble sleeping, I can highly recommend that you do that. When they were published in March of last year, as Richard said, I mean, I have never experienced anything like this. All hell broke loose from all over the world. Internet, electronic media, television, radio, published newspapers from everywhere carried this as front page news. Even the newspaper, the very conservative newspaper in the UK, The Times, wrote an editorial about these scientific papers and how the national health system in the UK is wasting money on ineffective treatments and surgery for back pain. Even other scientific journals, and that's something they rarely do, take up a paper from a different journal and publish about it in their journal. This happened to us. The New England Journal of Medicine published about these papers, and the journal Spine wrote an editorial about our papers that weren't even published in Spine and called them the magnum opus regarding evidence on low back pain. And what you see here to your reading left here is one of these internet scoring systems, and I have no idea how they do it, but what they do is they score different items according to the impact they have in society and in public. And this is and these papers were scored among the top 5% of scientific outputs ever produced in less than a year. And until then, I had never been on a paper that had an oddmetric score, as this particular system is called, over 100. I was really happy. For example, the Danish low back pain guidelines that we published that are widely cited everywhere, they have an oddmetric score of around 70. So this is the score for one of the Lancet papers, over 2,000. So, oh yeah, and this is the impact on social media. More than 15 million Twitter accounts, and these are numbers that the Lancet media department has sent to us, have reached a tweet about these papers. So by any yardstick, I mean, for a guy who's used to just sitting in an office and maybe walking to the coffee machine and getting a cup of coffee and then riding his bicycle home in the rain in Denmark, this was a pretty unique experience. And the question, of course, is why should chiropractors even care about this, to get on with my talk? Well, they should care because the vast majority of patients who seek care from chiropractors do so because of back pain and neck pain. So these patients, they're the bread and butter patients of chiropractors. And that is why, when a series like this comes out, the chiropractic profession needs to pay attention and, in my opinion, align themselves with the messages in these papers. So, getting to the papers, what did we write about? Well, first of all, this graph shows you, maybe not surprisingly to you, but to many other people, just how common back pain is, and just how common it is across the lifespan. Back pain starts quite early. You can see we have a fairly high prevalence already in pre-teens, and it continues to be very common across the lifespan. But just because something is common doesn't mean it is important. But back pain appears to be very important because here you see a figure illustrating disability of back pain. And the burden of disability caused by back pain is simply enormous and completely out of control. And what this figure tells you is the red columns here illustrate disability across the lifespan in 1990. And the blue columns illustrate disability across the lifespan in 2015. And if you add up the numbers, you can see that disability caused by back pain has increased by more than 50% globally in only 25 years. And there's no sign of it slowing down. So the burden of back pain, disability globally, is just enormous and growing. And there's indication and evidence that we really only, or we are maybe seeing the tip of the iceberg of this. Very few people with musculoskeletal conditions have a diagnosed condition of arthritis, a medical diagnosis that explains their symptoms. Yet we know that between 15 and 30%, up to a third of the population globally, seek care for muscle and joint pain and back pain every year. But twice as many have pain without seeking care and go to work every day with one or more symptoms of pain in their body. So not everyone with back pain and musculoskeletal pain are patients all the time, and probably they shouldn't be. But at some point in pretty much everyone's lives, they become a patient with a musculoskeletal problem that seek care in primary care. And most of these people have back pain. And for many, the pain is long-standing, and for most, it's a recurrent condition, as you'll see in a minute. We also know that back pain is the most common cause of work absence in Europe, in North America, and indeed in many other places. But we are now learning that the absence of work, not being able to go to work or not going to work, may also just be the tip of the iceberg. Because now we are beginning to measure what's called presenteeism. And presenteeism is people who go to work, but not able to work at full capacity because of some health problem. And it's estimated that the impact of back pain on presenteeism is about 3 to 4 times larger than the impact of sick leave. So we may only be seeing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to disability and how it's affecting society. Well, it is truly, this is a very busy figure, but it just shows you back pain prevalence across different regions of the world. And it's just to show you that prevalence varies somewhat, but it's more or less the same pattern. It peaks in midlife, where people are supposed to be most productive and live their life to the fullest and enjoy life the most.